Yesterday, the world of professional wrestling lost another legend. Needless to say, this is our first close to home death of 2017. As yesterday, the wrestling world said goodbye to one of its all time greats. We said goodbye to Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of Ridiculously Raw. I'm Anthony Flair here with you for this edition of Raw tonight. Ridiculously Raw, I should say. Before we get into what was an otherwise meh show tonight, we're gonna take a moment or so, take a few moments or so to pay our respects to Superfly Jimmy Snuka, as you see right there. He passed away yesterday at the age of 73 due to complications of stomach cancer. He was battling stomach cancer for a few years, and unfortunately, yesterday he lost the battle. His daughter Tamina Snuka was the one who posted, I believe it was on her Instagram, that she informed us all of her father's passing, and then other superstars picked it up and paid their respects, and then her cousin The Rock obviously was part of that, and any living legend in the world of professional wrestling, you name it, they paid their respects. You know, Bret Hart, Triple H, the McMahon family, Howard Finkel, Mean Gene Okerlund, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, the whole 9 yards. They all paid their respects on social media. And Derek Ferrera, he posted a video yesterday paying his respects to the Superfly Jimmy Snuka. So that's what we're going to do in the first few minutes of this show before we get into a review of Monday Night Raw, as well as my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling. So, but this will be one of those what a difference shows, because we're going to be starting this show on a somber note, but by the end of this night, we're gonna go from somber news to exciting news that we're going to be sharing with all of you regarding the first inductee, the headliner of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. And boy, howdy, when I heard that news, you better believe I was marking out. But we'll have time to mark out on that later. But for right now, it's about Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and we're going to pay our respects to this wonderful gentleman from the Fiji Islands. I know he was going through some legal troubles to the later stages of his life, but he was recently cleared of all charges, which I'm glad he wasn't. MF reported that on our show a couple of weeks ago, and it's hard to believe that the wrestling world has lost another. And last year, 2016, will forever be known as the year of the obituary, and because we had so many close to home deaths, and here we are in 2017 already starting off with a close to home death. And it's close to home for us because we've grown up. We grew up as fans of professional wrestling from the time we were children, and of course I'm joined as always by my elite panel, of course, the host of the Spreeble Smack Talk, Good Old MF, Michael Fletcher, as well as the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum. We should be joined later on at some point by our other panelist, the Phenom, Michael Bullock. We'll get into him in just a little bit. So with that being said, I just want to make sure I had the graphic up there for you all to know what happened, and I'll post that up again as we start when it comes time to sign off. So, of course, Superfly Jimmy Snuka was born on May the 18th of 1943 in Fiji. He was married and divorced to a Sharon Snuka, and then his current wife Carol. He had 4 children, 2 of them were WWE superstars, of course, Deuce, as you know, from Deuce and Domino fame, from SmackDown, and then, of course, Tamina, obviously, and He made his debut. He started in 1968. He used to be active in amateur bodybuilding in Hawaii, and then earning the titles of Mr. Hawaii, Mr. Waikiki, and Mr. North Shore. And then he opted to go into the more lucrative career of professional wrestling due to the uncertainty of his making a living in bodybuilding. And he later moved on. He later moved into mainland and wrestled for Don Owens' NWA Pacific Northwest Territory, where he held the belt as heavyweight champion 6 times. And it was in that territory that he transformed himself into Jimmy Snuka and also held the NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team Championship 6 times with partner Dutch Savage. And also had a 2-year feud with another rookie. I think you heard of this guy. He only happens to be my commentary idol, Jesse the Body Ventura, when it comes to, being the analyst and whatnot. He wrestled in several other NWA regions, including Texas, and then in 1977 was both Texas heavyweight and tag team champions. And then he left for the Mid-Atlantic, where he formed a tag team with Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. And in their first televised match, they won the NWA World Tag Team Championships by defeating the legendary Briscoe brothers, Jack and Jerry Briscoe. And then, it was in a non-title match. I do apologize for that. They would become the champions eventually in 79 by defeating Baron von Raschke and Greg the Hammer Valentine. And then September the 1st of 79, Jimmy Snuka won the United States Heavyweight Championship. Get this. You're not going to believe who he beat for that. He beat Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for that title. And then he also formed a tag team with the late great Ray the Crippler Stevens. And then he went to Georgia and he teamed with another late great Terry Bam Bam Gordy to win the NWA National Tag Team Championships by defeating the $1 Million Man, Teddy DiBiase, and another gentleman by the name of Steve Olsonowski. January of 82, that's when he debuted in the World Wrestling Federation. And believe it or not, he was actually a heel when he started. And he was managed by yet another late great, one of the greatest managers of all time, Captain Lou Albano. And he had several wars with Bob Backlund. I mean, he actually did get some shots at the WWF title against Bob Backlund, including an infamous steel cage match in Madison Square Garden, June 28th of 82. He leapt from the top of the cage and onto Backlund, who managed to escape the cage for the win just seconds earlier. And that was voted the match of the year by the great Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. And then, even though he was a villain, the fans actually were cheering for him because of his athletic style. They liked his style, and then he became a babyface late in '82. It was the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, and then it was Captain Lou Albano. Snuka said, "I'm done with you," and then Buddy Rogers became his manager in a feud with Captain Lou Albano, Classy Freddie Blassie, and Ray the Crippler Stevens. But of course, he'll forever be known for another steel cage match, October of 1983, against the magnificent Don Muraco, with the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. Muraco won it, but Snuka dove off the top of the cage on top of Muraco. One of the most iconic moments in WWE history. And of course, he was also known for his feud with Rowdy Roddy Piper in 1984, the infamous Piper's Pit, when Piper knocked out Jimmy Snuka with a coconut, and another one of the iconic moments in WWE history. And then towards the end of his run, he would become involved with, we'll never forget, WrestleMania 1. He was involved in the main event. He was in the corner of Hulk Hogan and Mr. T when they went up against Rowdy Roddy Piper, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, with Cowboy Bob Orton in their corner. And then he would leave there and go to New Japan, and then went into AWA, and then he did that for a couple of years, and then he returned to the WWE, of course, as we all know, at WrestleMania 5, prior to the match between Rugged Ronnie Garvin and Dino Bravo. Howard Finkel introduced them, and the fans were very happy about that. There was a big pop for him when he came out, and then of course, he would wrestle there for a couple years, and we all remember a trivia question comes to mind. Who was the Undertaker's first victim at WrestleMania? It was Superfly Jimmy Snuka at WrestleMania 7. He would compete in Royal Rumble matches. He would be a part of some Survivor Series matches, and his last recorded match was against Shawn Michaels, 92, at the LA Sports Arena. And then he would go to Eastern Championship Wrestling, which would later become ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, Paul Heyman. Snuka was the first ECW heavyweight champion in 94. And then he would actually go back to WWE again in September of 93 against Jerry Lawler's son, Brian Christopher, at a house show at Madison Square Garden. Short-lived. He would leave again, and then he would be retired for several years. And then, of course, in 1996, Superfly Jimmy Snuka inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He would make some off and on appearances in WWE. Was also in TNA. He was at the Victory Road pay-per-view as the guest of Roddy Piper. They did a Piper's Pit segment on that. And then he returned to WWE as part of the Homecoming, October the 3rd of 2005 against Rob Conway. And he was a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble match in 2008. And then, of course, the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. MF and I know this very well. We saw this. Him, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and Roddy Piper, a 3-on-1 handicap match against Chris Jericho, which Jericho, of course, would win. And then, he was under a Legends contract, but then he got arrested, of course, because of the whole Nancy Argentino situation. And then he would eventually be cleared, like MF said on our show a couple weeks ago. And he was diagnosed with stomach cancer in August of 2015. His wife, Carol, made that announcement and had surgery to remove lymph nodes. They said that he was expected that he was going to fully recover after a long road ahead. And he also had, following his arrest, his attorney said that he also had dementia stemming from wrestling-related injuries to the point of being unfit for a trial, which the judge ultimately agreed with. And that's why he was cleared of all the charges. And then December the 2nd, last month, it was announced he was going to be in hospice, had 6 months to live, and then passed away yesterday in Pompano Beach, Florida. And that was it. So history of his accomplishments was the world's strongest tag determination league with All Japan Pro Wrestling in 81 with Bruiser Brody. Was the CWA British Commonwealth champion, inducted into the Cauliflower Alley Club, was a CWA International Tag Team champion with JT Southern, an AWA Midwest Heavyweight champion, East Coast Pro Wrestling Heavyweight champion on one occasion, NWA ECW Heavyweight champion 2 times, as well as an NWA ECW Television champion, NWA National Tag Team champion as part of Georgia Championship Wrestling with the late Terry Bam Bam Gordy, International Wrestling Superstars United States champion 1 time. In Mid-Atlantic, he was a 1-time NWA United States Heavyweight champion and an NWA World Tag Team champion on 2 occasions with Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff and Ray the Crippler Stevens. NCW Tag Team champion with Johnny Gunn, 1-time NWF Heavyweight champion, NWL Heavyweight champion, NEW Heavyweight champion, NWA Canadian Tag Team champion 1 time with Don Leo Jonathan, NWA Texas Heavyweight champion, and an NWA Texas Tag Team champion with Gino Hernandez, and NWA Big Time Wrestling, NWA Tri-State Heavyweight champion, NWA West Virginia, Ohio Heavyweight champion, inducted into the 2010 class of the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. NWA Pacific Northwest Heavyweight Champion 6 times, a 7-time NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team Champion with Frankie Lane, and 6 times with Dutch Savage. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, his match with Bob Backlund in the steel cage on June the 28th of 82, Match of the Year. 1983 was the most popular wrestler of the year. 1980, him and Ray the Crippler Stevens were the Tag Team of the Year and was ranked number 29 of the top 500 singles wrestlers during the PWI years in 2003. Pro Wrestling This Week was the Wrestler of the Week from January 25th of 31 and 87. 2012 inductee into the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. USA Heavyweight Champion is part of Universal Superstars of America twice. USA Pro Wrestling New York Heavyweight Champion. WWWA Heavyweight Champion and WWWA Intercontinental Champion as part of the Worldwide Wrestling Alliance. Inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1996. And in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Tag Team of the Year with Terry Bam Bam Gordy in 81. Best Flying Wrestler in 81. Best Wrestling Maneuver in 81 and 83 was a Superfly Splash. Most Unimproved in 84 and Worst on Interviews in 84. So, needless to say, he led a great life. He led a charmed life, and he will be forever missed. And I'll always remember when he was when he dove off the cage in Madison Square Garden on top of Don Morocco, when he returned to the WWE at WrestleMania 5. I'm mostly remembering what he did in the WWE because I didn't really know all that other stuff because I wasn't even born yet. Well, when all that other stuff went down that I just mentioned, I never knew about the ECW. I knew about that after MF and Derek Ferrera told me about it, and I remember the TNA very well because the Victory Road, that was their very first 3-hour pay-per-view event back in 2004. I remember that very vividly. I have it as part of my as part of my archives, as part of my wrestling in the home video library. And the coconut incident with Roddy Piper, I'll never forget that either. And it's a shame that he never won any championships in the WWE. I mean, he had a chance at the WWE Championship with Bob Backlund in '82 in that cage match, and I remember WrestleMania 1 when he was in the corner of Hogan and Mr. T. I mean, he got involved in that. I mean, a lot of dignitaries on that. With Pat Patterson as the referee, another late great Muhammad Ali was the outside referee, the enforcer referee, and Liberace, the timekeeper, Billy Martin, the ring announcer. I mean, I remember that like it was just yesterday, man. But nonetheless, say what you want about him in his later life, but when it comes to his career as a professional wrestler, we can't help but remember and appreciate everything he did. And he's going to be gone, but he's certainly not going to be forgotten. And on behalf of all of us here at the Wrestling Forum, we want to send out our deepest prayers and thoughts and condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Superfly Jimmy Snuka. And as is customary here, like we always like to say to Superfly Jimmy Snuka out there, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I'm going to bring good old MF Michael Fletch in. MF, I know you got the word of Superfly's death sometime yesterday, and I know just like all of us around the wrestling world, I know you have a lot of memories, and I know we're all saddened by his passing, obviously. But MF, your thoughts and your favorite memories as you and Dee Dee Woodson and hopefully Michael Bullock by the end of the night. Let's have your respects and your favorite thoughts and memories about the late great Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
I mean, it's tough, but unlike some other ones that we knew, this was not sudden. This was not it wasn't like we got blindsided by this one. This one we kind of knew. This one we kind of knew that it got pretty bad. As a matter of fact, about 6 or 9 months ago, we found out that it was terminal. So we kind of had the sense that we were basically the clock was running out on Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Um, so we kind of had a sense of that could happen at any time. Um, Even with everything that led up to the day, um, there was some news reports. It was pretty quiet for the most part. So, but we did know that it was getting pretty, you know. But we heard a rumor going around, and that Superfly passed away yesterday. I actually found out from Richard Lopes, one of the members of the 2184 crew. He was the one that first told me. I was like, wait a minute, give me a few minutes. Let me verify my sources. And it wasn't just any source. It was Tamina Snuka's Instagram. The photo that Dee Dee Woodson is put up on her page or on her side, that's the image that I saw. And right then and there, I was able to yell. I yelled confirm that he had passed away at 71. Every news broke it. 411 Mania, ProWrestling.net, even TMZ, even some CNN and NBC news broke and said that he had passed away. So we all knew that he died, and it's heartbreaking. Um, I it's funny because earlier today, I went on YouTube and I was reliving some of those great moments that you were talking about, Anthony. There actually is uh, Don Morocco versus Superfly Jimmy Snuka from Madison Square Garden in the cage for the Intercontinental title. I saw that fight. I saw him in TNA when they had that special Piper's Pit. And then some of the work that he did, in his career, it's really a day to reflect, and that really is what it was. But you also got to take the negative out of it as well. He wasn't a perfect person. What he was being charged for was very serious, and on top of that, based according to the victim's family and to even some people who knew the situation, they thought he was guilty, that he actually committed that murder. It was too far back. There is no statute of limitations because this happened in Pennsylvania, and that's why everything went down the way it did. So, I mean, look, he is deserving of all the love and the respect and the admiration that he got as a professional wrestler. However, you also have to think about, this cloud that did indeed hang over his head. And, only until recently, when basically the charges were dropped because he was literally unfit to stand trial, maybe that was an inkling. Maybe that was a sign that, maybe this wasn't, something was going on that was beyond our control. But, we were happy in one sense that, charges were not going to be prosecuted or further. But there is that doubt that, maybe he did something that, there was rumors, and I hate to be, but I need to be that guy. There was rumors of a cover up, and on top of it, it was perpetrated by Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation of this cover up. Now, that can go many ways. Is it believable? Did WWE have something to do with the cover up of Jimmy Snuka? Possible, because at the time, especially in 83, 84, 85, Jimmy Snuka was a very big name in World Wrestling Federation. Anthony, you know that very well. And, as a matter of fact, Superfly Jimmy Snuka was a part of first ever WrestleMania. He was in the main event, even though he was a manager that afternoon and that early evening. But he was involved or was a part of the first ever main event of WrestleMania. So he was deserving of the Hall of Fame, deserving of all the accolades and everything else that he deserves. I don't know what his legacy is going to be. I know in certain minds, especially in wrestling circles, the admiration, the love, the respect that he got is all deserved. I'm not even going to argue that. But there are some people out there, and it's a small minority, but there are people out there more negative light of Superfly Jimmy Snuka. There's the wrestler, and then there's the human being. And that's where that line is very murky. You could say the same thing about Chris Benoit. And, again, tremendous wrestler. The accolades are so richly deserved. But one incident that he did tarnished his entire legacy. I hope and I pray that this one incident that happened back in, I think Anthony said in 83, I hope that incident does not tarnish Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You can go ahead, my dear. It's all yours.
Okay. I don't know too much what to say about it. I mean, yeah, I followed Snuka through. Well, it had to be sometime in the 80s when I actually started really getting into wrestling. So I've pretty much seen him from his first run in WWE all the way through. But I think one of the matches, I don't know if anybody would remember it or not, and I'm not even entirely sure which company it was for. I think it's IWS. It was King Kong Bundy and Superfly, and I believe he won the title on that one. And then another match that would be a good one probably for a lot of people to watch would be Andre the Giant and Jimmy Snuka versus the Wild Samoans. Or how about this one from January 31st, 1992? You have Shawn Michaels versus Jimmy Snuka. I mean, there's a lot here, especially if you just sit here and look at YouTube, like Flesh was saying, where you can see, even the Mr. Perfect versus Snuka for the Intercontinental Championship qualifier. I mean, there's just a lot here, and some of these, people will know some of these matches. Some of them you may not know. Depending upon how old you are, how closely you followed his career. Snuka versus Kevin Von Erich. I mean, that was one from the 80s. Tony Atlas fought Snuka. I mean, there's just a lot here. But for me, I would have to say my biggest memory was him jumping off the top of that cage. And I know you guys have already kind of talked about that. But, I mean, he was just known to jump off of things. He was just a magnificent high flyer. And just so many accomplishments that he's made and so many matches that he's done. And I mean, just if you just have a day where you just have nothing to do, I'd say just hit YouTube and just start going through, matches of snooker if you want to just sit and really remember it. Snooker and Steamboat would be another one. I mean, there's just so many here. But it would just be really, just really a solemn time. But at the same time, you'd really enjoy seeing some of these matches because although, some of them may be funny, some may be serious, he always, in the end, he always did what he came out to do. So, yeah, Kevin's talking about Roddy Piper and the coconut, which I think was already mentioned. So, but yeah, there's just a lot here. So I'd say, just hit up YouTube and just start going through snooker matches. I know he debuted in 82 in WWE, so that would be probably where you'd want to start and just go from there, just hitting memory after memory and seeing accomplishment after accomplishment, whether it's win or loss. They were all accomplishments. And I know Tamina, she said, "Forever my dad, rest well, families are forever, best dad, snooker legacy." And I'm sure, all his kids would say the same thing. If anything, I mean, family is important to everybody, and I'm sure to him, his kids were just as important to him as, any other parent. And, you can sit here and look at all the comments from that picture, everybody saying, "Rest in peace, Jimmy Snuka," the prayers going out to the family. I mean, it's just, here, this one here says, "Legends, condolences. I'm so very sorry for your loss. R.I.P. Snuka." And I mean, it's just so many there. And I know for us, we send out our condolences to the family, and we got another legend in heaven that's up there entertaining. So I just look at it that way. So let's just move on, guys.
All right. It's very hard to move on, especially after something like that. When we pay our respects to a living legend like Superfly Jimmy Snuka. So, but we're dedicating this show tonight in his memories. So, so hopefully we do him proud. And let's get into it now. Monday Night Raw, which was live tonight from the Verizon Wireless Arena in Little Rock, Arkansas, on the USA Network. I do have to forewarn, there will be quite a few cutouts during this show, but this is not one of them. It was the opening segment here. We had Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes out, Boo Bird's intact, and he said that I'm going to win the Universal Championship at WrestleMania at the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to go on to WrestleMania and be the headliner for the third year in a row. And then this is where the chaos starts. Then we get Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman shows up and says Brock Lesnar is in the building. Of course, we already knew that. They advertised that ahead of time. Goldberg chants were echoing, and then we get Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, the Universal and US title holders respectively. They came out, they did their usual thing, and then Seth Rollins shows up. And then Braun Strowman shows up. Brock Lesnar shows up. Sami Zayn shows up. Whoa, my Lord in heaven. What else is there for me to say except this was lots of fun as they went for the frantic top names brawl to send each other a message segment. This is the second time they have done it, so I hope they have something even better planned for the Go Home segment on the Go Home show. I think that after the beating he took, I would have actually kept Sami Zayn out until the Royal Rumble to maximize the reaction when his music hits and he goes after Braun Strowman. So that's honestly what I would have done. But obviously they didn't do that. And to me, I would have to say by a smidge, this was the segment of the night. Very good. It was a good opening segment with WWE trying very hard to make Roman Reigns sound like he's reasonable rather than have him look like a hypocrite for complaining about being outnumbered despite his Shield past. I don't know if that fight is worth it, though, as babyfaces should be bothered by heel numbers advantages. And most babyfaces have been cheating heels at one time or another. That said, the segment delivered very good hype for the Rumble match. And Michael Cole was there afterward to run through a list of some of the bigger names while putting the match over big. So that's all I can say on that. So it was a very good segment. I would say by default, it was the segment of the night. This was a wrestling heavy show. There weren't many in-ring segments, but I think there were only like 2 of them. And when I compared both of them, I gave this one the edge by a little bit. So that's it for me. That was the segment of the night. So MF, let's bring you on in. Your thoughts on this crazy opening segment with Roman Reigns, Heyman, Lesnar, everybody.
Oh, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing. This was awesome. I loved the body of work. I loved everything that happened with this show, and yeah, this was one of my favorites. I love the fact that when Roman sounded really good. I had nothing bad to say about it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was good, solid for what it was worth. Then on top of that, then you had an awesome sequence. Owens and Jericho, they did their part. They did all right. I had nothing wrong with that. Then you had Seth Rollins there. Strowman shows up. That looked like really strong. That really looked like the whole 9 yards was really turning into something better than what it kind of looked like. And the next thing we know, the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, was in the building. And oh my goodness, did it explode at that point. I really liked how everything was playing out. I loved how the match just really started and everything looked great. And I loved that moment. Strowman and Lesnar in the center of the ring. Well, not in the center of the ring, but Brock kind of destroyed everybody else and eyed Strowman down and said, come on, big man. I'm going to I took all these fools out. I'll take you to Suplex City. Come on, get up in this ring. Strowman jumps up at least on the apron, and you could feel it. You could feel the fans there going, yes, yes. And even for Little Rock, Arkansas, and it's not a big IWC city because you're thinking bigger payoff, bigger down the line. But oh man, this would have been huge. This would have been amazing. And nope. Not at all. It backfires. Basically, after that, Strowman walks, and sets us up for the rest of the night. Great showing. Amazing to say the very least. Dee, what's in it yours, my dear?
Yeah, this one was definitely the segment of the night out of the segments that they actually had in ring. Just so much going on in this segment. Most of it, of course, pertaining to the Royal Rumble, but still, it's just, it's just one of those segments that, you just want to pat the writers on the back for even thinking about sending it out, because it was a great way to start the show and a great way to set up the main event for the night as well. But yeah, I mean, it's just, seeing Lesnar and Strowman and the tension between the two, and Zayn just being so daring to go out there and attack and everything. And for me, I just really enjoyed watching them and seeing the way they were building the story, and how Jericho thinks that not only are they double universal, but they're double intercontinental champions. And of course that's not true, but um and KO saying, I don't think that scenario is going to happen, but whatever. And I mean, it's just, and every time you hear the music start for the next one to come out, you knew something big was going to happen. So definitely segment of the night. So let's just toss it over to Florio.
All righty. We move on to our first match of the evening. It was a tag team match. Enzo and Cass, the Wrestling Forum's favorite tag team, going up against Rusev and Jinder Mahal. Enzo and Cass pick up the win, 8 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm going to put it to a vote. Do you guys want to talk about this fight, or do you want to move on? Because I want to make sure I do right by you guys. Do you want to get into this, or do you want to just or do you want me to just consider this a cutout and move on? I don't know how MF and Dee will feel about that. Either way, it's up to you guys. If you want to get in, if you want to get into it, we can. If you don't want to get into it, that's more than okay too. But Enzo and Cass defeat Rusev and Mahal in 8 minutes and 40 seconds. That's the time of the fall. I see no mics moving, so I'm guessing they want to consider this a cutout. That's more than okay. All right, unless Dee wants to get into it.
Well, about all I'm going to say for it was good to see Enzo able to get back in the ring again after the injury. But as far as the match itself, yeah, wasn't the best match in the world. I'll give it a star and a half, but that's about it. So that's about all I have to say for it. Other than just good to see him back in the ring.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. And I'm guessing MF doesn't want any part of it, so that's more than okay. So I'll give you a brief thought, a brief liner note. 2 stars. I'm gonna give it a solid 2 stars for that effort. I mean, it was a perfectly solid tag match with an energetic closing stretch. Hopefully, this means the end of this horrible feud, and it's been god awful for the most part. So, and I was also surprised to see Enzo and Cass get a clean win so early in the program, but perhaps the heels will simply get their heat back somehow. So that's really all I can say on that. So, so with that being said, we're just going to move on to our next match. It was a cruiserweight match. It was Ariya Daivari going up against Lince Dorado. Ariya Daivari wins the bout in 2 minutes and 22 seconds via submission. Jack Gallagher joined Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Austin Aries on commentary during the bout. And I know this is a cutout for sure. No rating to a dud. It's not that Ariya Daivari is bad. I just find him extremely boring, and I do not understand how he lucked into so much TV time, considering the talent that they have contracted. Gallagher used the time on commentary to push the match tomorrow night. Ariya Daivari got a win to get some momentum, so the segment had that going for it. Unfortunately, it was another under 3-minute special for the cruiserweights. So yeah, one of the worst fights of the night. No rating to a dud. Of course, tomorrow night on 205 Live, Ariya Daivari is going to square off against Jack Gallagher, and it's being called an I forfeit match, which is, I think, basically a gentlemanly way of saying an I quit match. So I don't think it's going to be a 5-star. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star classic I quit match. Say, I don't know, like the Rock and McFoley had at the '99 Royal Rumble for the title. No, it's certainly not going to be like that. So that's all I can say about that. Now we're going to get back into the thick of things here. This is not a cutout by any means. Raw Tag Team Championship on the line. We had the champions, Sheamus and Cesaro, defending the titles against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Winners of the match in 13 and a half minutes. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, but wait. For a minute, we think Anderson and Gallows have finally broken through and they finally win the belts. Well, controversy abounds in this one. Sheamus nailed the referee by accident, according to my notes here. And then Anderson and Gallows battled back. They hit the Magic Killer. And then another referee came in. I believe it was Derek Moore. He counted the 1, 2, 3. And we think Anderson and Gallows have won the titles, but John Cone, who was the original referee, says no, disqualification. Anderson and Gallows, however, still win the match. So it's a 13 and a half minute bout. Anderson and Gallows win via disqualification. So now that we're back into relevant stuff, MF, we're going to start it off with MF here. So MF, what a Raw Tag Team title match, despite the controversy.
Yeah, no, this was a great matchup, but I liked the ending. I liked the finish, and I did not mind that we had a little bit of a controversial finish because, sometimes it's good for story progression. It just gives Anderson and Gallows another opportunity to go for the tag team titles. So probably get that opportunity at the Royal Rumble now. It was a solid fight, no doubt about it. I had nothing bad to say about it. I mean, I know a lot of people were a little disappointed the way the match ended, but hey, I'm cool with it. I don't have a major gripe or beef with it. It was a good match. This is clearly, to me, I'll go as far to call it fight of the night. I mean, that's how good this match was. I could give this at least 2.5 to 3 stars, 3.5 if you're really. I could be really generous, and you know what? I'll say 3 to 3.5 stars, and I'll be very generous with the rating there. But this was a good match, solid fight, amazing battle. Nothing bad to say about it at all. Didi Woodson, I'll give it to you, my dear.
There we go. I'm having some issues getting my mute undone. It was definitely a very good match. I really enjoyed it a lot. I don't have anything bad to say about it either, but I could tell you I was not surprised that it ended in a DQ. I pretty much kind of knew that the titles wasn't going to change hands, even when they were going to announce the club as the winner for the first time around. I looked over at Kevin and said they're not changing the title, and of course they didn't. They turned it into a DQ because of the referee being knocked down, which doesn't surprise me one bit. So I'll go as saying it's about 3 3/4 of a star. As far as fight of the night, for me, I would have to say that I have a tie for fight of the night, so this would be one of them. So not much more I can say. I see Bullock just joined in, so do you want me to toss it over to him?
I'll take it from here, Didi Woodson, as I was gonna go get into my thoughts on the bout real quick, and then we'll catch Bullock up. As far as this tag title bout goes, 3 1/4 stars. For me, it was the second best fight of the night. There was one match I thought was a smidgen better. This was a very good match. They worked well together, and the finish keeps the feud going for now. And yeah, so we had a little bit of a dusty finish in that one. You don't usually see the Dusty finish used to tease a heel title win. The finish was unconventional, but the match was entertaining enough that they managed to heat up the feud. So that's all I can say about that. So it's a 3.25 star bout for me. Second best fight of the night on my end. We got Michael Bullock here. So before we continue on, Michael Bullock, I want to get you in here. We started tonight's show paying our respects to Superfly Jimmy Snuka, who, as you know, passed away yesterday at the age of 73 due to stomach cancer. So we already gave our elongated tributes, but so let's I'd like to get a quick thought from you, like a quick retrospective from you as far as your thoughts on Superfly Jimmy Snuka's passing. So it's all yours, bud.
Yes, it's a sad day for the world of wrestling. I mean, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, one of the all-time greats, and I mean, known for his famous Superfly splash from the top rope, and I think there was one to me that really stands out the most, and that was I think it was that one that he did from the steel cage, Florio. I'm trying to remember who it was that he faced when he did that.
It was the Magnificent Morocco, Don Morocco.
Oh yeah, that's who it was. I was trying to remember who that was, but that's the one that really stands out. I mean, he's faced a lot of greats in his career, and of course, we all know, of course, his daughter, of course, was competing in the WWE, and yeah, so it's just a sad day. So definitely, I'm sure you guys pretty much talked about it, and
yes, we did.
And I'm just gonna say thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and all I can say is we love you, man. And all, I mean, you may be gone, but you will never ever be forgotten.
No, indeed not. So then we started it off with the as far as this, and now we're going to get into the Raw review now with you. The opening segment, which was, of course, Roman Reigns coming out, and then all this chaos breaking loose. Heyman showing up, and Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Sami Zayn, Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar shows up. Chaotic segment, to say the least. So quick thought on that.
Yes, this was definitely a chaotic segment. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Roman Reigns basically coming out, of course, talking about his loss, losing his U.S. title last week, but he basically says Owens is going to be the one who complains when he takes the WWE Universal title from him, with Jericho being hang above the ring. And then Paul Heyman comes out and basically, and then basically Owens and Jericho comes out, and Seth Rollins comes out about the whole thing, and then out comes Braun Strowman, but then the Beast Incarnate comes out. Brock Lesnar comes out for the first time since losing at the Survivor Series to Goldberg, and then Sami Zayn comes out, and basically we get all this chaos, and yeah, and basically it was Brock Lesnar who has the last word with an F5 to Roman Reigns. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say except a great segment to start off this edition of Monday Night Raw. So Florio, let's move on to the first match.
First match was Enzo and Cass squaring off against Rusev and Jinder Mahal. Enzo and Cass win the match in 8 minutes and 40 seconds. We didn't really get much into this. I put it to a vote with MF and Didi Woodson. They didn't really want to get into it. They somewhat considered this a cutout. I got into it briefly. It's up to you. If you want to get into it, you can. If you
no comment.
No comment. Okay. So All right, so we just move on, and then we had a cruiserweight match: Aria Davari over Lindsay Dorado in 210. That was a cutout, so I'm not going to bother you with that. The match we just got into was the Raw Tag Team Championship match with Sheamus and Cesaro defending against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows win it by disqualification in 13 minutes and 30 seconds with a dusty finish. We thought Anderson and Gallows won the belts, but they reversed it and said it was a DQ. But Anderson and Gallows still won the fight. So, your thoughts on that?
3 to 3.25 stars is my rating on the match. I mean, I thought this was a real good match, but yeah, I mean, I thought the disqualification really caught us by surprise and sort of left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but still, it was a good match. So basically, there's really nothing more for me to say. So I'm sure you guys talked about it. So I say we just move on.
And then this was more of an angle than a match, really. The Cruiserweight champion, Rich Swann, was scheduled to go up against Tony Nese, but the match never started because Adrian Neville showed up and basically beat the snot out of Rich Swann. And for those of you who may not have known, it is official. It was announced last week on 205 Live that Rich Swann will defend the Cruiserweight Championship against Adrian Neville at the Royal Rumble. So, Bullock, I don't know if you want to get into it. I know you ended your Cruiserweight boycott last week, so this was more of an angle than a match, really. So, but considering that it's involving the top stars of the division, I figured maybe it was worth mentioning. So, what do you think, Bullock?
Yeah, I mean, this was basically more of an angle because basically before the match even started, I mean, Neville basically just started to beat the crap out of Rich Swann, and basically it was just him sending a message to Rich Swann saying, "I'm the king of the cruiserweight, and I'm coming to take that cruiserweight title from you at the Royal Rumble." So yeah, it was pretty much like a statement from Neville. So, and I'm really liking this new side of Neville. It's like he's becoming more aggressive and more dangerous than what we saw before. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So I toss it to you, Florio.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Bullock. Neville currently right now is Neville is an a-hole right now who thinks he has been denied what he feels is his and wanted to send a message to the champion ahead of their Rumble match. And that's basically what this was. It was a cool angle with Neville continuing to be the best thing going in the Cruiserweight division. And I mean, I don't know what else there is for me to say except of course, we now know that Swann and Neville will go at it. We'll battle it out for the Cruiserweight Championship at the Royal Rumble, which I think has the potential to be a show stealer because of the body of work of these two guys. And I'm going out on the limb right now. I think we're going to see a new Cruiserweight champion. I think Neville's going to win the belt. I really do. And then they can really make him the king of the Cruiserweights. So we're going to wait for MF to come in. Michael Bullock, if you could mute your mic, if you don't mind.
Oh, I thought I did, but
no, you didn't. So, all right, there you go. MF said he was going to. MF stepped out for a moment, as indicated in our group chat box. Definitely want to get his thoughts on this because I know MF has been very high on Adrian Neville's body of work ever since his heel turn last month at the Roadblock event. The Roadblock end of the line when we thought he was going to have a babyface moment, but he attacked Swann and turned heel. And that's why he's been the best thing going in what has been otherwise a god-awful division in the Cruiserweight division. So as soon as MF comes back in, I definitely want to get his thoughts on it. But I basically said my 2 cents on it, and like I said, this was more of an angle than a match, really, and I was very pleased with how it turned out, and I'm definitely looking forward to the match at the Royal Rumble with Neville and Rich Swann, which should be one hell of a cruiserweight match. I mean, we've been waiting for that special moment in the cruiserweight division, and I think these two guys can definitely give us that shot in the arm that this division desperately needs. I mean, this division has been god awful ever since the Cruiserweight Classic. I mean, all right, MF's back in. MF, I want to get your quick thoughts on it was, even though this was more of an angle than a match, really. Adrian Neville, he showed up. He attacked Rich Swann. Rich Swann was scheduled to face Tony Nese in a cruiserweight match. And we all know how high you've been on Neville's body of work, and I'm sure after what he did tonight, I'm sure your highness on Neville's body of work just probably got higher, if not even sky high.
What have I said since he made his return, and he's really made this vendetta, this personal vendetta about Rich Swann? I said it once. I'll say it again. He is gonna be the next cruiserweight champion of the world. This is coming into fruition. The pieces are coming together. The stars are starting to align. I'm telling you guys, at the Royal Rumble, Adrian Neville is gonna be the next cruiserweight champion of the world. And if he does not win the belt, then WWE, you are a bunch of effing morons. Done. Go.
There you go. That's all I can say on that. And I'm right there with you. If that does happen, they're not only that, MF, but they'll also be, in my words and Chris Jericho's words, a bunch of stupid idiot mutton heads. So that's all I can say on that.
And trust me, they're gonna be on my list. They're gonna be on the list if that happens. And I'll even let Michael Bullock do the infamous words, because it seems like he does it pretty well. So WWE, full warning. If Neville does not win the belt, you know what happens when you get on my bad side. WWE, you just made a list.
You just made the list.
Thank you, Bullock. A little late, but thank you.
Yes, they will be on they'll be on our list of injustice. That's all I can say on that. Not only a list of injustice, but also on our list of what are
Stupid
the list
idiot
of what I
mutton
call.
heads.
That's right, stupid idiot mutton heads. Thank you, Chris Jericho, for that. I love when I get to utter those words. So, all right. So, up next, yes, we have another cutout. And guess what? We get some more fun with the New Day and Titus O'Neil. All righty. Ugh, this again. Yeah.
Well, whoop-de-freaking do.
Well, we already know New Day was
even now I'm at the point of go away, and normally when I get to a point of go away, that's bad. That's real bad.
Absolutely. I don't blame you. And it was at the point of go away when this thing first started.
And this is why we always warn people, do not get on Michael Fletcher's bad side, because if you do, you are not going to like what he has. I mean, trust me. I know it. I've gotten on Fletcher's bad side, and it's not pretty.
Let's just say I just give a look. This little look that I give, and Bullock knows it, and Anthony knows it. All I just have to do is just give like a little look. It's like a side-eye look, like an "Are you serious?" thing going, and they kind of like, oh. But I'm telling you right now, there's one other person I probably would not want to mess with, and that's Dee Woodson, man. I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to be real honest with you, man. Man, she's like the mother hen of the group, man. You don't mess with mama. You mess with mama, you're going to get your ass handed to you. I'm guaranteeing you.
Especially when it comes to the women's division.
Oh, yes. Watch out with the women's.
Yes, indeed. And MF has two characters to him. The good side of him, that's why we call him Good Ol' MF. But when you get on his bad side, he ain't Good Ol' MF. He's the Cerebral Viper.
I'd rather stay on the good side of Michael Fletcher. I'll tell you this right now.
Same here. Same here. I like it better when he's good on MF.
Well, that it's the same thing with Florio. He got his Anthony the Hitman Florio, which is the good guy, the good guy, the truth, honor, the you always talk about what was that thing you mentioned, the man of good faith.
Yes, ridiculous.
When you get that, when you get, huh?
My ridiculously over character.
Yeah, okay. When you get into that, ridiculously over, man of good faith, that's his good side. When he gets into Anthony the Hitman Florio, that's his heel. That's the Jesse the Body Ventura attitude. That's the Bobby Heenan. When he gets there, he is Espiritu Santo, man. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Watch out. That's all I'm saying. And then with Bullock, I don't know with Bullock. I know he's got his Phenom. That's like his evil. But I don't know what would be his good guy.
Yeah.
We got to figure one out for Bullock.
That's the basic Mike Bullock. Or as Bullock and I have been doing for the last couple of weeks in tribute to the late Alan Thicke. We'll basically call it his Mike here. That's all there is.
Okay, that works. That works.
Yeah, in case people don't know about that, I mean, he appeared, on Fuller House, and he started the whole Mike here.
Yeah, buddy. You know how much I love that. But anyways, unfortunately, we're gonna get the man who tells it like it is right here and now. I'm gonna save all three of you a trip right here and now, because this is obviously the mother of all cutouts right here. New Day, they basically. Well, we already know all three of them are going to be in the Rumble match. They talk about the Rumble match, and okay, that's okay. I didn't think that was too bad. You want to talk about the Royal Rumble. I mean, we're a couple weeks away from it already. I mean, go figure. And then they say if one of them win, they all head to the main event of WrestleMania. Okay, whatever. But then once Titus O'Neil shows up, there you go. That's when it all goes downhill from here. And then Big E challenges another New Day member to a match, and this time it was Titus O'Neil. He already went up against Xavier and Kofi. Now he's got Big E Langston going up. So it led into the match: Big E against Titus O'Neil. Big E Langston wins the bout in 5 minutes. Absolute dud. Worst fight of the night. Once again, the New Day and Titus O'Neil segments were trash. I don't want them anywhere on my television set. Pre-match is not good, and it gets worse once they start wrestling. O'Neil is no good. He creates no heat or emotion whatsoever. And his matches are literally taking years off of my life. O'Neil has been in the WWE since 2009 and is still remarkably bad at his job. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's great at the charitable endeavors. He's wonderful in that. He's a godsend for that. But when it comes to this, no, stay away. Get away from me. That's all I'm going to say on that. So
I'm going to put
that's it.
On this, and I'm gonna be real honest with you, and I'm gonna harp off what Florio just said, because I think you're absolutely right, Anthony. For some odd reason, skills has been diminishing. I mean, I thought when they paired him up with Darren Young, when they were the primetime players, I think they were he's better as a tag team wrestler. He's not good as a singles individual. I mean, I think what happened, I think WWE really, because you get certain moments where WWE, there's things that work and things that don't work. I think by breaking up the primetime players was a major mistake and a major disservice, not only to Titus O'Neil, but also a major disservice to Darren Young. I mean, I don't think neither one of them has really done anything in their solo paths. Even when they paired Bob Backlund with Darren Young and had that gimmick of try to make Darren Young great again, my philosophy or my theory was, when was Darren Young ever great in WWE?
Amen to that.
So the only time they were great was when they were the primetime players.
Absolutely.
When they were the primetime players, I'll even admit it, they were legitimately one of my favorite tag teams. That's why me and Michael Bullock will always give you the hard time by throwing the millions of dollars on you. Because that was the way that was our shtick. We liked it. Even though I know you weren't too high on primetime players, me and Bullock were. And that's how it was. I think they made a humongous mistake when they broke them up, and it's even gotten even worse now. Even worse.
Oof, brutal. That's all I can say about that. Absolutely brutal. I mean, these last 3 weeks with what's been going on with New Day and Titus O'Neil, these last 3 weeks, I'll sum it up by channeling my inner Colin Cowherd when I say it's as stale as moldy bread. Let's not kid ourselves, folks. So with all that being said, let's just move on from this. But now we're going to get into something. We're going to get back into relevant stuff finally. We had the women's champion, Charlotte, coming out. And, you know, she comes out and she talks about Bayley. And they actually showed some pictures of Bayley when she was younger. I mean, when she actually, I mean, we all know it's well documented about Bayley, about how much of a fangirl she is of professional wrestling. I mean, that's like all of us. And she had photos of and Charlotte showed off photos of Bayley taking pictures with John Cena, former women's champion herself, Ivory, of course, Rob Van Dam. And then one that got on my good side was when they showed a photo of her and my man, Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, that was awesome stuff. And then eventually Bayley comes out and then they also talk about Bayley's poetry. I mean, Bayley's actually, she wrote a paper in high school about how much of a dream it was of her to be a professional wrestler. And Charlotte starts to read it, and then basically it was in a mocking tone. And then Bayley showed up and basically had some witty poems of her own. And then eventually Bayley, and as Charlotte was leaving, Bayley called for her wacky waving, arm flailing, inflatable tube men, which you know how much I love and Bullock loves. So that is that. So Michael Bullock, we're gonna start it off with you here. What do you think of this Charlotte and Bayley segment, and Charlotte getting surrounded by our favorite, the wacky wavy, arm flailing, inflatable tube men? So Bullock, let's get your thoughts on this. Bullock, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm right here.
There you go. All right. Charlotte and Bayley, what did you think of that segment with Charlotte getting surrounded by our boys, the wacky waving, arm flailing, inflatable tube men?
Boy, I mean, all I can say is, this was a crazy segment here. I mean, Charlotte, basically, she was basically poking fun at Bayley. I mean, they show a picture of her and there was one photo, and then Charlotte says, I don't even know who's in the photo with Bayley, and it makes her look like a dumbass. And another photo is with her and RVD, who she doesn't name either. And then, of course, there's another picture with Bayley with one of your favorites, Anthony Florio. That's the legendary Bret the Hitman Hart.
Best there is, best there was, and the best there ever damn will be.
Oh yeah. And Charlotte basically makes fun of Bayley's poems, and then she starts pretending to cry, and then she basically says, you know what? I hope Bayley got an F on this essay because it's a pile of empty dreams. And then Bayley basically comes out, and she wasn't her usual happy self. She just stormed like right to the ring, and Charlotte basically decides to exit, and yeah. And she basically says, you know what? I wasn't fortunate enough to have a father who opened the door for her, but she had a dad who took her to every WWE live event, a dad who bought her a ticket, even if he didn't have the the money, and it didn't matter if she was sitting in the back corner, the front, or way up high, where everyone looked like an ant. She looked at her dad and said one day that was going to be her. And then Charlotte makes fun of her, says it's touching, and Bailey says, "You know what? I got a new poem for you. Roses are red, violets are blue. At Royal Rumble, I will defeat you. I can't help but smile from cheek to cheek at just the thought of the look on her face when I break your pay-per-view streak. You call me a child, and I say I don't deserve to walk down that ramp? Well, in 2 weeks, you can call me your new women's champ." Man, this was a great segment, and I gotta say, that was a nice poem there by Bailey. So, yeah, so really got nothing more to say. So Dee Woodson, what was your thoughts on this?
I thought it was a real good segment. Of course, you have Charlotte trying to make it, really personal, but at the same time, it was, building the storyline between the two even more, and feeling more fire for Bailey to come out and really take it to Charlotte in the end. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of bad to say about this segment, because it just, it cemented a little bit more of the heel Charlotte, and her way of trying to make everyone feel bad for Bailey, and saying Bailey's average, just like the fans are average, and yada yada yada. And I think Bailey did a good job standing up for herself and showing that she isn't going to back down to Charlotte. She's going to show them exactly who she is, what she's made of, and everything. So I'm standing behind Bailey on this one, and saying good for her to stand up for herself and what she believes in. Just because Charlotte got handed everything in WWE because of her last name, it goes to show you that you have somebody who will actually bust their butts and work to get to that point as well. Especially someone who, like Bailey, who was a fan all her life, who went to see every show, just she set herself a goal, set herself a dream, and she worked her butt off to get there. And yeah, she has other talents, such as the writing and stuff, but that doesn't mean she's not, going to go out there and do what she knows she needs to do to achieve that goal that she set for herself, that she's told her dad and she wrote in her paper and everything, that's what she's going to do. So hats off to Bailey, this good segment. So Florio, it's yours.
Okay. I got to say, second best segment here. I thought it was going well until it got a little overly silly with the Bailey poetry party. Other than that, though, Charlotte was a great biatchy heel, mocking Bailey for her love of wrestling, and then Bailey stood up to her well. It ended up as a solid overall segment. I mean, the crowd was really flat for Charlotte's promo, but Bailey came off really well here. They have struggled to establish her as the super fan to main roster viewers, but this segment went a long way toward doing that. I just wish they would have let this breathe a bit. It felt really awkward for them to spend all that time on that segment and then just race into whatever was next rather than having the broadcast team reinforce it before going to a break. So there's nothing left for me to say on that really, except that was the second best segment of the night. I'm definitely looking forward to the match at the Royal Rumble. But don't worry, this feud's gonna go on for a while. It's gonna go up until WrestleMania. So that's all I can say there. So second best segment of the night for me. So MF, your thoughts on this Charlotte and Bayley segment here?
I mean, all right. Look, it was good. I'm not gonna say it was overly great. I mean, I was kind of a little bit disappointed. I really thought that I was the Bailey thing was gonna be a little more better, but I mean, all right, fine, whatever. Um, it was okay for what it was worth, but I don't know how it was gonna play out overall. Charlotte was okay, but a lot of people really dumped on her on social media. A lot of people did not like her promo. A lot of people said she can't cut a promo if her life depends on it. They were very brutal with Charlotte. I thought she did all right. I thought it was good. It was solid. And as far as Bailey goes, again, I'm with Florio. The only thing I didn't really like was I kind of thought that the poetry was a little cheesy. Sorry, my thoughts only. Because I know Bailey and I've seen. I remember that that thing that she talked about when she wrote down that thing about being a professional wrestler, because I saw that episode and it was very powerful. It was very moving. And I was hoping for something a little more powerful. I don't know why, because like you said, she is she's really good. She's a very good writer. She loves all that poetry and everything else. A cunning linguist of Bailey come out. And yes, that's if anybody was wondering where I got that reference from, that's from a James Bond movie. I believe it was GoldenEye. So for all you Bond nuts out there, catch GoldenEye. I think it was a Moneypenny saying to Bond that he was a cunning linguist. So charming, anything sophisticated. That's why I was hoping Bailey was going to pull tonight. It's kind of more childish trash. Sorry. Florio, it's yours.
All right. Now we have another cruiserweight match here. The Brian Kendrick going up against Cedric Alexander. And believe it or not, Cedric Alexander actually wins the match in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Do we want to get into this, guys, or do we want to just move on?
I'll jump in on this one thing and one thing only.
Okay.
Alicia Fox.
Yes.
She became she once again decides that this was going to be the end. This was going to be the big play. This was going to be everything. And it worked out for the best, and we'll go from there. But I will say this, whatever the case may be, whatever happens next, let's see how it plays out, because this is going to be interesting. This kind of love affair between her and Noam Dar, and it has to end at a certain point, but we'll wait and see there. But the match itself was really good, and Humble, he hit him with the lumbar check. I mean, yes, I was trying to channel the Anthony always wanted me to do a little more Mauro Ranallo on the show, so there you go. That was my attempt at Mauro Ranallo, and Florio, I'll give it right back to you.
Mamma mia, Tope Suicida. Oh, that was great. So, yeah, that's why MF is considered our Mauro Ranallo, JR, Gorilla Monsoon, what have you. But I'm guessing the others don't want to get into it, but I'll give you a quick liner thought. It may have been only just about a 5-minute bout, but I'm actually going to give it 2.5 stars. It ended up as an average match, just as it was picking up, and they had to continue on with the Alexander, Fox, and Dar angle. Alicia's interference was bizarre in that the referee watched her push the rope to Cedric, yet didn't even flinch. At least Cedric wasn't made out to be an idiot by taking Fox back. So that's all I can say on that. And then then they had a moment with Nia Jax. She attacked Sasha Banks on a Facebook Live video in the whole 9 yards. That was a backstage moment. But now we're going to get into the big announcement of the night. They announced the very first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. Now, I'll be honest, there were a couple of dirt sheets that were leaked out about 2 possible names that were going in. One of them was Diamond Dallas Page. The other was Ravishing Rick Rude, the whole 9 yards. Maybe later down the road, but we didn't know about this until today. I didn't know about it until the show because I took it easy today. I didn't really go online that much, but when I saw this, I marked the F out. I'm not going to lie right here. I marked the F out. The first inductee, the headliner of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017, none other than your Olympic hero and mine, Kurt Angle. Yes, Kurt Angle is going to the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017. I'm going to open forum this. Whoever wants to jump in on this, it's all yours. That's all I can say. Kurt Angle, WWE Hall of Fame, 2017. Michael Bullock, it's all yours, man.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I did not expect Kurt Angle to be the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2017, but I'm happy for him, and he's now officially back in the WWE, and he even said it on his Twitter account a few hours ago, saying, "I'm coming home." Yep, he is coming home to the WWE, and I mean, of course, we all know him, of course, as an, of course, he was born in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, the son of Jackie and David Angle. Of course, he attended Clarion University, graduating with a degree in 1993. And of course, he's been an amateur wrestler for his career. Of course, he's a two-time National Collegiate Athletic Association Division I champion, a national runner-up in 1991, a 3-time NCAA Division I All-American, and of course, excuse me. Yeah, of course, of course, he started his career a little bit, of course, in ECW back in 1996. He was convinced by fellow Pittsburgh native Shane Douglas to attend the taping of ECW called High Incident, and he gave an in-ring interview and provided guest commentary during a match between Taz and Lil Guido, but left the building after Raven crucified a bleeding Sandman by attaching him to a cross using barbed wire. Angle, shocked by the controversial imagery and afraid that his career prospects would be damaged if he was associated with the incident, threatened to sue ECW owner Paul Heyman if he was shown on television in the same broadcast as the stunt. And then he went to the NWA in 1998 and competed in a battle royal at the NWA's 50th anniversary show. But this is where he really started to come in, of course, with the WWE back in 1998, and he debuted back on March 7, 1999 episode of Sunday Night Heat, and then the rest, as they say, is history. Of course, he won. Of course, in February 2000, he won both the European Championship and the Intercontinental Championship, and then, of course, throughout the mid-2000s, he ended up, of course, winning the WWE Championship at No Mercy when he defeated The Rock, and of course, one has gone. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, basically, I'm just trying to pull off.
I'll go down the list of
Yeah.
accomplishments.
I got it now.
Okay.
Yeah, all the championships and accomplishments. Of course, he was a 1990 Canadian Cup champion in amateur wrestling. Was a 1987 Penn State wrestling champion. Was the freshman of the year at Clarion University in 1988, and was a junior world freestyle champion in 1988, and won a world championship gold medal in freestyle wrestling in 1995. Of course, was inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame in 2016. Was inducted into the National Amateur Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2001. Was an NCAA Division I All-American from 1990 to 1992. Was an NCAA Division I champion in 1990 and 1992. He won the gold medal in freestyle wrestling at the Olympics in 1996. And of course, was a U.S. junior freestyle champion in 1987. Was a U.S. senior freestyle champion in 95 and 96. Was inducted into the USA Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2001. And of course, then in professional wrestling was a IWGP heavyweight champion and was inducted into the George Tragos Luthez Hall of Fame in 2012. And in Power Pro Wrestling was the PPW heavyweight champion. And for Pro Wrestling Illustrated was the comeback of the year in 2003. Was in the feud of the year, of course, with Triple H in 2000. A feud of the year in 2003 with Brock Lesnar. A feud of the year in 2007 with Samoa Joe. Inspirational Wrestler of the Year in 2001. And of course, Match of the Year against Brock Lesnar in an Iron Man match on September 16th edition of SmackDown. A Match of the Year, of course, with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. In 2000, he was named the Most Hated Wrestler of the Year. In 2003, he was named the Most Popular Wrestler of the Year. He was named Rookie of the Year in 2000, a Wrestler of the Year in 2003, and was ranked number one of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2001. So SoCal Censor, of course, was named the Match of the Year against Christopher Daniels in September 13, 2000. For TNA, of course, was a 6-time TNA World Heavyweight Champion, a 1-time TNA X Division Champion, a 2-time TNA World Tag Team Champion, King of the Mountain in 2007 and 2009. Was inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame in 2013. And was the second TNA Triple Crown Champion. And then in WWE, was a 1-time World Heavyweight Champion, a 1-time WCW Champion, a 1-time WCW United States Champion, a 4-time WWE Champion, a 1-time European Champion, a 1-time Hardcore Champion, a 1-time Intercontinental Champion, a 1-time Tag Team Champion, King of the Ring in 2000, was the 10th Triple Crown Champion, a 5th Grand Slam Champion. Of course, Wrestling Observer, of course, was named Best Gimmick in 2000, Best on Interviews in 2002, Best Technical Wrestler 2002, Feud of the Year with Brock Lesnar in 2003, Match of the Year with Chris Benoit versus Edge and Rey Mysterio at No Mercy 2002, Most Improved Wrestler in 2000, Most Outstanding Wrestler 2001 to 2003, Reader's Favorite Wrestler 2002 and 2003, Wrestler of the Year in 2000, Wrestler of the Decade 2000 to 2009, and Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame Class of 2004. So, and now you can add a new thing to it. WWE Hall of Famer. Congratulations, Kurt Angle, the most gifted wrestler in WWE. And of course, not just the most gifted, but one of the best technical wrestlers in WWE. So, congratulations, Kurt Angle. And now the big question is, who's going to induct Kurt Angle into the Hall of Fame? That's the big question. So, That's all I'm going to say on it. So whoever wants it next, take it.
I guess I'll jump in on this one. No, this is well deserved. This was well honored. Kurt Angle, most deserving Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. A lot of people were waiting for when was the moment going to happen? Past due, because of the fact that he went to TNA wrestling, and really set this whole off was the way he left WWE initially. If you remember, he was a part of ECW for a little bit and left the company because he was like, I'm thinking about retiring. My neck was really bothering me. I got all these injuries going on right now, and I just can't do it anymore. So he was vowing that he was going to retire from WWE, and they gave him his release. And the next thing we know, he winds up in TNA wrestling, and a lot of people were not happy. People in WWE were really upset, and it kind of was like, we knew this was going to happen. We were hoping this was going to happen, but I don't know if it was or if the day was going to happen or whatnot. And sure enough, it happens today. So congratulations to Kurt Angle. We don't need to run down the body of work. We don't need to run down the legacy of Angle and what he's done, because I think Michael Bullock pretty much nailed everything about it. But I want to say that out of all the guys, past, present, future, whatever, the one person that I wanted it to see go in is now in, and that is Kurt Angle. Well deserved, great honor, huge moment for him. Congratulations to Kurt Angle. I'm very happy for him. Hall of Famer now. Mike Bullock posed the question, who's going to induct him? I could think of names instantly who could enshrine him. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, because they were very close. They are very good, very, very good friends of the company. Maybe Steve Austin, because there was a great rivalry between him and Angle during that day. You could bring anybody you want. Anybody is worthy enough of enshrining Kurt Angle, but those would be the three that I would throw right out of the gate. Maybe Brock Lesnar, but I'm really kind of pushing that one. That's kind of a push on me. But the top two right off the bat is Triple H and Stephanie. I mean, either one would be worthy enough of enshrining Kurt Angle because they had the most camaraderie, the most work, and they were so close working together in WWE. So I think those would be at least the top two off the top of my head that I would say that's most worthy enough. And now the question is, who's next? Who's going to be a part of this 2017 class? And I've heard already a whole bunch of names who could be going into the Hall of Fame this year. So, I mean, rumors are swirling now, but some that I could literally iron down and legit, but I don't want to mention the names yet until we officially announce it. But I've heard names, and there's a lot of them already for the class of 2017. I could probably say I probably know about maybe 5 possible names, and a 6th just got added tonight to that list. And I've heard of a female wrestler going in, and it's not the one that I initially thought it was going to be. I've heard a new name just got thrown in there who could be, and from what I've heard, this is the name. I've heard a tag team who is going in, somebody who's recently passed away, who's finally getting their moment. I've heard this name getting thrown into the Hall of Fame, and I talked about it privately to some people. And if Anthony and Mike Bullock, if you guys want to wait till after the show and we'll do it privately, I'll let you know what I know about Hall of Fame names. Because, like I said, there's a lot of them this time around.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We'll get into that behind the scenes. No question about it. I'll take it next since Dee Dee Woodson had to step out. Oh man, what else is there for me to say except I'm over the moon right now because ask MF, ask Michael Bullock. They'll tell you firsthand how big of a Kurt Angle mark I was because of his body of work, because of his abilities, his technical abilities. It's well documented. I have a love of technical wrestling, as does Michael Bullock. Whereas Michael Fletcher, MF, is more of a hardcore guy, as well as Derek Ferrera. But myself and Bullock, I mean, we've developed a love and appreciation of technical wrestling. I mean, it really started with Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and their epic series, when they were having that, when we first met in the whole 9 yards. But Kurt Angle, man, what can you say about him? I mean, one of the most gifted performers of all time. Bullock ran down everything he did, all the titles he won. I mean, he won practically every championship there was to win in the WWE. He was also the king of the ring in the year 2000. And he had what I could consider the greatest first year of any superstar in history, winning the Intercontinental title, the European title, the king of the ring, the WWE championship from The Rock in the No Mercy in 2000. I mean, that most inspirational wrestler in 2001, that's no joke. I mean, you remember in 2001, I mean, when the whole 9/11 went down, I mean, they put the rocket pack on him. They turned him babyface, and the rest is history. I mean, he had that unforgettable, that special moment, Unforgiven in 2001 in his hometown of Pittsburgh. Beat Stone Cold Steve Austin, won the title, and had his family and WWE superstars coming into the ring to join him and congratulate him. I mean, I get choked up every time I see that, man. I mean, that was an awesome moment. That's my all-time favorite Angle moment. I'm not going to deny that. That Unforgiven when he won the title from Stone Cold. I mean, that was great. I mean, he had so many great moments. I mean, not just in the WWE, but TNA as well. I mean, those epic matches he had with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode. I mean, just to name a few of those. I mean, winning all the belts in TNA. I mean, he had, so many 5-star classic matches. We don't have enough time to list all of those. I mean, that's a separate thing for another day. But my Lord, I mean, what this man did for the world of professional wrestling, I mean, and in the Olympic Games in 1996, the story. He won the gold medal with a broken freaking neck. We all know that story. And, I recently watched back last night that the Royal Rumble in 2003, that epic title match he had with Kurt Angle, which many call a 5-star classic. Me, including me. And I know MF would agree with that. I'm sure Bullock would agree with that. And Dee Dee Woodson would agree with that. I mean, he had so many 5-star matches. I mean, Benoit, obviously, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. I mean, even Triple H and the whole 9 yards. I mean, he had so many great rivalries. And, of course, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 21. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that epicness. I mean, one of my all-time favorite WrestleMania matches, and one that I get a little choked up when I see that fight because that thing was so freaking awesome, and it reconfirmed my love of technical wrestling and what this man did for technical wrestling and the whole 9 yards. It is to be commended. He's one of my all-time favorites, and I'm so damn happy for him. And can you imagine what that scene is going to be like on March the 31st at the Arena in Orlando when he takes his rightful place into the WWE Hall of Fame? I mean, Triple H could induct him. Yeah, Stephanie could induct him. What about Vince? I mean, who's to say Vince can't induct him? Or, I mean, Stone Cold's another great choice. I mean, or what about The Rock? I mean, he had an epic rivalry with The Rock. Let's not forget about that. So, I mean, it could be anybody. So that's all I can say on that. So congratulations, Kurt Angle. Well deserved. Dee Dee Woodson, I don't know if you're back in, but if you are, I would definitely like to get a quick thought from you regarding Kurt Angle going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Okay, there you are. All right, Didi, what's in your brief thought about Kurt Angle going into the Hall of Fame?
Hey, I think it's great that he's going in the Hall of Fame. I'm a little surprised he was the first one for this year to be announced, but I'm not surprised that he's going in. But I'm glad to see that he's going in. We've talked about all the memorable stuff that he's done in the ring, but you also got to think of some that he's done some things, through. One of the things he did through WWE that wasn't in ring, of course, was when the wrestlers all made that CD or whatever of them all singing. He did one on his theme song saying that he didn't suck. Well, for me, I guess a memorable moment would be my autistic son singing that. And every time he'd hear the music, when Kurt would come out on TV, Cody would say, he'd go do the "You Suck," but then he'd say you do the theme that he did on the soundtrack, because he listened to that over and over and over again. Of course, we talked about the accomplishments with the Olympics and all that. I mean, he just, if you really want to, get into the heart of Kurt Angle, you also have to think about his personal life, being a father, and the good and the bad that he's done through the years. But nothing will take away from, the career he's had and the accomplishments he's made. And, and all the different wrestlers that he faced over the years. And, we're talking about all the different companies he's been in, tag, where he, like in TNA, he tag team with Samoa Joe against Ethan Carter III and Magnus. You had Kurt Angle versus Bobby Roode, Kurt Angle versus Mr. Anderson. Kurt Angle with against Austin Aries. I mean, there's just so many matches he's done, from all the stuff in TNA, all the stuff in WWE, OVW, New Japan. I mean, there's just AAA. There's just a lot of accomplishments he's done, even in WWF. Him and Lance Storm against Edge and the Big Balboski. Anybody remember him? Albert and Angle versus Edge and Rikishi. I mean, there's just so many here. Hogan, Triple H fought Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle. Kane and Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, Kurt Angle, Booker T and Kurt Angle tagging with Edge and Kane. I mean, there's just so many here that you can just go down the line and just, remember each and every one. And just, like I said, some of them, can be awesome matches. Some of them he may lose, just so many here. I believe, if I remember right, Kurt Angle even tag teamed with Undertaker a few times. I mean, there's just a lot, like I said, a lot of matches. And, this would be another one where I'd say, just hit up YouTube and see what you come up with Kurt Angle, whether it's TNA, like I said, New Japan, AAA, whatever. you just hit up some of these, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of these matches. And just sit there and, just really, go through some of the history that this man's had. I mean, it's just, there's just so much here, and there's just so much um, so much accomplishments that he's done. And, with everybody, you have to weigh the good and weigh the bad. And, with him career wise, there's a lot of good in personal life. There's a lot of bad, but you can't judge a person by the what they've. Let's see, I'm trying to frame this or word this just right. You can't judge them by all their negatives. You have to also, judge them by the positives. You can't judge the book by the cover. You have to, actually read it. And with Kurt Angle, watching his matches is basically like reading the book just to see all the amazing things he's done, and working through injuries and everything. So I guess I've rambled on long enough. So let's just move on.
All right, we're going to move on to the main event of the evening on this edition of Monday Night Raw. It was a 6-man tag team matchup. We had on one side Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn going up against Universal Champion Kevin Owens, United States Champion Chris Jericho, and Braun Strowman. Winners of the match in an even 19 minutes, just about. Braun Strowman, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman with the running power slam on Sami Zayn to win the bout. So I don't remember who was supposed to lead off on this one. So maybe I could make this an open forum as well, just to save the embarrassment of trying to figure out who it was. So you know what? I'm just gonna take it for a whirl here. No doubt about it. For me, this was the fight of the night. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, this was, to me, 3.5 stars. I just want to pull up my quick liner notes on this. 3.5 stars is my rating, no question about it. I had some other things I wanted to read on real quick. Okay. Overall, very good, fun, and tag team main event. Just the right amount of chaos and blending of the established feuds. The post-match angle was also well done. It was one of the hotter closing angles in some time. It was a fun 6-man tag main event followed by a great show closing angle. I love that the broadcast team was chased off and viewers got to take in the closing minutes without hearing them. It's funny how Reigns and Rollins versus Owens and Jericho feels tired at this point, yet the additions of Zayn and Strowman changed the dynamic enough to make everything feel fresh. So that's really all I can say about that. And who said that moving the announce table to the stage, moving the announce table back to the stage was going to be a guarantee that it was going to be always safe and never any danger. Ha! So much for that. So that's all I can say about that. So 3.5 stars. This was my fight of the night. Whoever wants it next, it's yours.
I guess I'll go. We'll go in order here. No, 3.5 stars, no doubt about it. I agree with the match. I thought it was definitely fight of the night. It was just a great way to close the show. I mean, you had a strong beginning, you had a very strong end. Everybody played their parts really well, but booking 101 gives a major advantage for Roman Reigns. I know we're a couple of weeks out of the Royal Rumble, but still, he just went through an announce table tonight because of Kevin Owens. I mean, take that for what it's worth. Whoever wants next, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll take it next. Yeah, I'll make it 3 for 3 and go with 3.5 stars as well. And this was my fight of the night. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, everybody played their parts well, and this match started off strong and basically ended strong. And yeah, Roman Reigns going through the announce table. Yes, I mean that was freaking crazy. So, Yeah, you guys pretty much touched on everything else. So 3.5 stars. Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
Yeah, I said earlier in the night that I had a tie for uh, the match of the night, and it had to be the tag team titles and this one, because I gave them both 3 3/4 of a star, because the matches were both really enjoyable for me. But I think out of all of it, I think I actually enjoyed after the match even more than I did the actual match. But it's still just it was a very good match and very entertaining. And I'm the type of person, I love to see them high fly, but I also love to see them do these, get these pinfalls or near pinfalls and everything. So I'm not going to harsh on it too much more. I'm just going to toss it over to Florio.
All right, and now we're going to get into our overall review of Monday Night Raw. And if we're going to keep the order thing going, MF would start it off. So MF, if you're ready, let's get your overall thoughts on this second to last edition of Monday Night Raw before the Royal Rumble. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, MF, your overall thoughts on this second to last Monday Night Raw before the Rumble.
Good show. I'm not gonna say anything bad. Yeah, there was a lot of cutouts. I mean, you could do, they could have been a lot more better, but the overall quality of the show is not bad at all. I'll be fair with this. 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I think it could have been. It definitely could be a lot more better. I mean, but if you really think about it, it was more wrestling oriented, not that many segments on this show, which is always a plus. But the thing is that the action itself could have been a little more better. But all in all, I thought it was a solid show. I got nothing bad to say. So no, 7.5 out of 10. Whoever wants it next, it's yours.
Yeah, I agree. This was a 7 to 7.5 out of 10 for me. It was. I agree. This was a good show, and yeah, you did have some cutouts, but still, I enjoyed this edition of Monday Night Raw. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. So Dee Woodson, what says you?
I definitely say this was a better Raw this time around than what we've had lately from Raw. Still not the same level as what we've had from some of the SmackDowns, but definitely they're getting closer to being back on the right track and hitting the nail on the head. So I'm going to give it a solid 7.5. And even though there was a lot of cutouts, and even though there's a lot of lame stuff going on and stuff that you're just sick and tired of seeing, there was still you still had the strong segments, the strong storyline building, and at least a few strong matches. Although I was a little surprised we didn't see either Stephanie or Mick Foley, but maybe that's what we need to do to have the show better, is not show them all the time, and actually just stick to more to the wrestling and more to the storyline building, and not so much to the some of the backstage antics that go on with all that. So like I said, it's solid 7.5 for me, and I'm heading out. So good night, guys.
All right, good night, Dee Woodson. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Serial Smack Talks. So yeah, I'll wrap it up here. As far as the Raw review goes, anyway. I'm gonna meet you guys halfway. I think you overscored it just a smidge, if I'm gonna be real honest. But I do agree for the most part. I'm gonna say between 6.5 to 7 out of 10. This week's show was definitely a step up from last week. I agree with that. With a better sense of urgency, two good and strong tag matches, and a hot closing angle. Some of the issues still remain, but I feel that we're on the right track heading into next week's Go Home show. If I'm going to recommend some things, I would recommend the main event for starters, the opening segment. I'll even give you the tag team title matchup. I'll give you that. The women's segment if you want. And that's pretty much all I can say on that. So, and the opening segment. So that's really all I can recommend when it comes to and the angle announcement. So that's pretty much it for me. 6.5 to 7 out of 10 is my rating on this show. And the only thing that we know for next week's Go Home show in Cleveland is Bill Goldberg. He's going to be there. So that should be some interesting stuff. It's always interesting when he's around. So that's all I can say about that. So now it's time for my Tony's Take. Of course, 205 Live is where we're going to start it off. Another great edition of the show. Of course, it was on this show that we learned about Rich Swann and Adrian Neville's upcoming Cruiserweight Championship match at the Royal Rumble. So definitely, and I got to say, last week's show was probably the best one I've seen yet. So very high on everything that took place. So let's get into it. First match was Noam Dar against Cedric Alexander. Noam Dar wins the match in 12.5 minutes. It was the second best fight of the night on my end. I gave this one 3 stars. For as much as I have not enjoyed the program, this was a good match with some great aggression as you believe that they hated each other. The finish was solid and leaves things open-ended, so it's going to continue. It had an intensity and a sense of urgency that a lot of 205 matches have lacked. So solid 3 stars, second best fight of the night. Next up, we had the Brian Kendrick going up against Sean Maluta. The Brian Kendrick wins it in 4 minutes to 55 seconds with his captain's hook. By default, the worst fight of the night, 2.25 stars. It was solid but unspectacular. I like the story of the overconfident veteran there. So that's all I can say there. And then there was an in-ring segment with Jack Gallagher and Ariya Daivari talking about the I Forfeit match. Pretty good segment. Gallagher is great, and it should finally resolve the feud. And then in the main event, we had Rich Swann going up against Tony Nese. Rich Swann wins it in 7.5 minutes. By a smidge, second, co-fight of the night. The first match with Dar and Alexander, I would probably say was the better of the two. It was 1A and 1B basically. Swann winning it 3 stars. Good match to close out the show. Swann gets a clean win over a competitor similar to Neville, which led into the post match, which set up the match for the Royal Rumble. So very much looking forward to that. So overall, 7 out of 10. Far and away, I thought this was the best show of the series so far. I felt it was a great show after a slow start. The series is slowly finding some legs. They finally got moving on some of the feuds. Dar and Alexander, Gallagher and Daivari, and the action feeling as if it had more energy than most weeks. And we also had some quality in-ring action. And then you set up the big title match with Rich Swann and Adrian Neville, which will go down at the Royal Rumble. So yeah, 7 to 7.25 out of 10 is my rating for this show. Definitely far and away the best 205 Live show I've seen since the series started at the end of November. So well done on that end. And now, of course, the main event of this whole thing, my review on Impact Wrestling from this past week, and which I thought was a much better show than the week before. So let's dive on in. It opened with an in-ring segment, Ethan Carter III, interrupted by Bobby Lashley. Now, as much as I hate the having to start each and every show with an in-ring segment, this was actually one of those rare segments that was actually good. It was a good opening segment that played well off of the events of last week, and it set up a match to get us a new contender for the title. And there was a 2-for-1 deal because it led into another match. Bobby Lashley against Ethan Carter III, last man standing. Whoever wins would be the next challenger for Eddie Edwards in the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Winner of the match in 15 minutes and 10 seconds, and number one contender Bobby Lashley wins it. I can only give it second best fight of the night honors, though. There was one match that I thought was a smidgen better, but this was very good. 3 stars is my rating. Good open. It was a really rough early, but they turned it around. Lashley was a monster, but a smart one as he worked on the previously injured back of EC3, and EC3 fails again. And it really feels that they are laying the foundation for a heel turn, just like we saw with Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown Live just a couple short weeks ago. Then we had the debut of the new Aaron Rex and Rockstar Spud. Solid but unspectacular debut for Rex's new gimmick. I'm willing to give it a chance, so we'll see where it goes. Something like this needs time, so we'll see if it gets over and clicks, but Rex is going to need to pick it up in the ring. Then we had DCC, Bram and Eddie Kingston against the Decay. It went to a double count out at 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Solid 2 stars, perfectly solid but unspectacular match. The intensity was pretty good, and I like the non-finish to keep the feud going for now. Then we had the Miracle Mike Bennett going up against Braxton Sutter. Braxton Sutter picks up the win at 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Another 2-star effort. It was another solid match. Doing the old heel had it won, but lost because they wanted to deliver more punishment instead of accepting the win. Another one of those matches that lacked energy and felt as if they were killing the time until the finish. And of course, the Ali and Maria saga continues. And then you had an in-ring segment. Rosemary, the Knockouts champion, challenging Jade to the first ever women's Monsters Ball match. They had a quality cage match, and I am sure Monsters Ball is going to be good as well. I'm excited for it, and I hope that they deliver and really start to carve out a new vision for this division, one without Gail Kim. Rosemary continues to deliver when given promo time, with the best part being that she stays true to her character with her verbiage. And then in the main event, for the TNA World Tag Team Championship, the Broken Hardys defending against the Wolves. Yes, Eddie Edwards had a chance to be a double champion here. Unfortunately, it did not go their way, though, as the Broken Hardys win the match at 17.5 minutes, 3.5 stars, fight of the night. It ended up as a very good main event as the Hardys were here to work. Many times they rely on the gimmick and take the night off when they hit the ring. Tonight felt like one of those nights where they wanted to show that they could still go with a high-intensity team like the Wolves. I also thought that the layout and finish played well into the potential split of Edwards and Richards, which was teased early in the show when Richards noted he was jealous of Edwards while he was out injured. So, well done. Fantastic match. 3.5 stars. Fight of the night. Overall thoughts on this? Just like with the 205 Live, it's going to be between 7 and 7.25 out of 10. I felt it took a significant step up from last week. The opener and main event served as strong in-ring bookends to the show. Overall, show had a smoother flow than last week and was just a more enjoyable show to me. One issue I had is that they really should have given the in-ring return of the Wolves a better build in an attempt to make it feel important and possibly draw in more viewers. I also wish that they would have done the same for the Last Man Standing match, set them up and announced them on this show and deliver next week with some strong builds. So, yeah, as far as recommendations go, main event, far and away. Last Man Standing match with Lashley and EC3. Definitely, I want to recommend those. I highly recommend those 2 bouts. The opening segment, if you care, and the other stuff, for the most part, you can skip unless you want to get into it. But main event and the Last Man Standing match, I most definitely strongly recommend. So that's all I can say about that. So 7 to 7.25 out of 10 is my rating. Much better than the previous week's efforts. So with that being said, what can we get into? What can we expect on this upcoming show? The show that we're going to see on Thursday night. Well, let's find out. I believe we're scheduled to have a grand championship match on this show. Let me just double check of my name. I just want to check my sources here. Okay. I think this is where we're going to get that chase for the case. I told you about that last week with all the participants in that in-ring segment with EC3 about Davey Richards. And, and we're going to get the return of Brooke Tessmacher. Tessmacher is going to return. We are going to get an Impact Grand Championship, Moose against Drew Galloway. The next division title matchup, DJ Z against Andrew Everett, Caleb Connolly, Trevor Lee and Marche Rocket, and then Bobby Lashley. And I think this is where we're going to see Bobby Lashley and Eddie Edwards go out for the title. And a very interesting stipulation is going to come out of that. So check your local listings. Pop Television Thursday night, 8:00. Looking forward to that. So that's it. That's it for this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you also very much for tuning in the whole night yards. So that's really all I can say here. So we're gonna get into our quick shout outs here. So whoever wants it first, it's yours. Just save me for last so I can set up the future content. So Bullock, it's all yours. Or
Yeah,
Fletcher,
of course.
whoever wants.
Yeah, of course. Shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or the Cerebral Smack Talk or Strictly Sports. It doesn't matter. I mean, we thank you for your support, and of course, shout outs to, of course, all of our super fans, and of course, to the rest of the Woodson family, and of course to Matt Warren and Jason Hixenbaugh. And of course, to all of our friends from our high school days, you guys know who you are. To Derek Ferreira, of course, also the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaiser Butler. So, yeah, that's gonna do it for me. So I'll save my shout-outs Friday night on Strictly Sports. So this is the Phenom Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now. And yeah, and of course, one more time, rest in peace to Superfly Jimmy Snuka. You may be gone, but you'll never be forgotten. Fletch, I give it to you.
Yes, indeed. First off, thank you to all the great fans out there that listens and watches this show. Best fans in the world. You guys already know that. To the super fans out there, you guys know who you guys are. To my friends in junior high and high school days, you guys already know who you guys are. To the 2184 crew, love you guys as always. That's it. Until then, tomorrow, later this evening, Cerebral Smack Talk. I got a lot to talk about. For the last time until the summer, Lucha Underground. We got some Ring of Honor news, of course. This week was the big show where it was Jushin Thunder Liger going up against Jay Lethal. Major match there. I actually got some New Japan Pro Wrestling news coming up. There's a big announcement coming from them as it pertains to their next major event, and I'll actually have some info on that. And of course, SmackDown Live, as we're still rolling on the road to the Royal Rumble. So until then, it's Mike Fletcher. You know the routine. Hugs and pounds. I'm out. Good night, Anthony. Take you home.
All right, we'll do, MF. Special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. I mean, the views are going up as of late, so I'm really encouraged by that. Of course, special shout outs to our super fans and insiders. Dee Woodson, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, and her family. Special shout out to all of them. Matt Ward, Jason Hixenbaugh, Danny Luttrell from the UK, our other First Ladies, Kaiser Butler, Lexi Calloway, and Megan Silva, and of course, our other friends, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Alvarez, and Rob Parsons, and that's it. And then, of course, the hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferreira. So that'll do it for that. So I'll save the rest of mine for Friday night. And, of course, like MF said, tomorrow night, what time, MF? 10 or 10:30 for the show tomorrow night? We just want to be sure on that.
10 o'clock tomorrow night.
All right after SmackDown Live. Okay, fair enough. So 10 o'clock tomorrow night, following SmackDown Live, immediately following SmackDown Live, we'll have the Cerebral Smack Talk. We'll review SmackDown Live. Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, SmackDown Women's Championship inside a steel cage. And I also heard that we're going to have, for the first time in a very long time, Jerry the King Lawler is going to be on the show with his King's Court segment. So, oh boy, that's gonna bring back some memories in the 90s. That's all I can say on that. So that all goes down tomorrow night, and then the Mikey's Mindset, like MF mentioned, and then with all his news that he has, and then Friday night, guys, Strictly Sports. Listen to this docket. We're gonna get into the coaching carousel in the NFL. We'll also have Jabril Peppers from Michigan declaring for the NFL draft. The Yukon women breaking the women's basketball team breaking their own winning streak. A debate: should Floyd Mayweather fight Conor McGregor? Canelo Alvarez to face Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. MF, please be on that show because Bullock and I are not boxing guys whatsoever. Hopefully, we'll have you on so you can give your 2 cents on that. And then in our double main event, yes, there will be a double main event. We're gonna preview the NFC Championship game with the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll also preview the AFC Championship game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. Oh my goodness, I'm already excited about both of those games. And then to close it out, the first of our bi-weekly NBA Power Rankings. So that all goes down Friday night at 10:30, right back here on this channel. So I think I pretty much covered all of the feature content. So and then next Monday night, Ridiculously Raw, when we review the Go Home show, the Go Home edition of Raw before the Royal Rumble. Bill Goldberg in the house. So that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, it's Ridiculously Over Anthony Florio, for a good on that Michael Fletcher, for the Phenom Michael Bullock, and in spirit the Twisted Angel D.D. Woodson and the Hardcore Pipe on Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. And before we sign off, once again, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. And thank you, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, for everything. Rest in peace. So like I said, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.